It's Rob!
Tony! And I'm Jeff.
We're in gaming.
And that's you.
Hey guys, how's it going? Warshack here with the Inn, and we're going to be knocking out Freeze Mage today. I know we've done this deck a while back, about 6 months ago, and a lot of, I would say not a lot, but a decent amount of the deck has kind of changed. Emperor's been added into the deck. We've added Archmage. There's Doomsayers now. There should have been Doomsayers before in our previous deck guide, but there's not, and I was wrong for not putting them in there, but they definitely need to be in there. So this is definitely a much better deck guide than, or I would say deck list, than we've previously put out. Also, with new cards, obviously, things need to be updated. That's just kind of the unspoken rule. Decks that we made 6 months ago obviously are probably not going to be in top-notch performance now that, you know, TGT is out and stuff. So, for those of you who are new to the channel or new to this video, we will be playing 3 ranked games like we always do. We'll win all 3 ranked games. I'll talk about the deck. I'll talk about particular combos, why I've got which cards in the deck, and we'll also talk about the gameplay and why I do what. So from here, beginning of the game is really slow for a Freeze Mage. There's not a ton we can do, but for an opening hand, depending on who we want to go against, Frost Nova is good, Doomsayer is good, and Alkalite, but you're hoping for Mad Scientist to not only thin out your deck for when it dies, it picks out a secret, but also saves the secrets from being in your hand and you having to waste mana to play them. So Mad Scientist is definitely one of those cards that you'll always keep in your opening hand. Yeah, I don't really stream that much anymore, Pale. I'm sorry, dude. Not enough time. So there's the Mad Scientist, but we definitely need to get rid of that Darnassus Aspirant. Most people think when they're playing a Freeze Mage deck that they kind of have to save all their burst damage, like their Fireballs and their Frostbolts and their Ice Lances. But for the most part, as long as you have 1 Frostbolt, which we have 2 in the deck, of course, we can kind of use 1 on a creature, whether it be a Knife Juggler or a card we definitely need to get rid of right away, which is Darnassus is one of those cards that him getting Druid getting an extra mana crystal on top of being able to innervate in wild growth is not something we can allow them to have. So Darnassus main targets, like when a warrior plays the Warsong Commander, it's gotta die. So don't be scared to use some of your, you know, damaging abilities, because there is Archmage in the deck, there's Alexstrasza, there's Emperor, there's Pyroblast, we've got tons of damage. So don't be afraid to, you know, if you need to clear a creature, don't be scared to use your, you know, your cards to do it. That's what they're there for. But I mean, I don't recommend using all of your abilities to take care of creatures, then you have nothing for them directly. So you just gotta kind of figure out what's best, and that'll come through playing the deck. So turn 5 here, it's going to be, we don't really need to get rid of that 4/4 off the bat, so we're not going to Frostbolt. We don't need the Blizzard. The coining is kind of silly right now because we're not really coining into anything crazy. So I think we need to draw into something, and Emperor is a really nice card to draw into. And I suppose we could coin to get rid of it and put down the Alkalite. That wouldn't be a bad plan. This is because when we play Emperor next turn, we don't want coin in our hand already. We want as many cards that cost mana as possible. So having a coin in our hand really isn't that great. And we're going to choose to swing directly just to kind of put some damage on the board. Not that we really need it because of Alexstrasza. Actually attacking into the 4/4 might have not been a bad plan just to thin out our deck, so maybe next turn we don't draw a secret and our Emperor can get even more value for whether it be a Fireball. Maybe we can even draw our Archmage or an Alexstrasza. So Mad Scientist, crazy good card, and it thins out your deck, like I said. Allows you to not be able to draw the secret because it plays it. So he's going to kill off no, he's actually going to allow us to draw through the Alkalite, which is fine. Draw 1 is what we expected. He's going to leave the Mad Scientist alive, and we are actually drew into the secret. But drawing into an Ice Block isn't that bad because we kind of can play it when we want it instead of maybe he Kezan Mystics it. So this play will probably just be Emperor. We really don't care if it dies, which it most likely will, as long as it sits on the field for 1 turn. Or we can Doomsayer and clear the field, and then maybe our Emperor can live for 2 turns, which might actually not be a bad deal. And the fact that he's playing the Violet Teacher shows that he could be playing Token Druid, and leaving creatures on the field is not the best idea. So I think playing the Doomsayer might be the best plan here, just to kind of make sure he doesn't play any more cards, and we'll use the Frost Nova so he can't attack with anything. And notice how I attacked with my cards. Actually, Frost Nova doesn't do it to the entire field, my bad. I was going to say attack before you use Frost Nova, but none of my cards get frozen anyway, so that works out well. I don't know what I was thinking of, that the entire field freezes. So it's turn 7 for him. He is a turn up, so we can expect maybe, it's weird that he'd be running Druid of the Claw. Because most of the time Druid of the Claw isn't in a token Druid deck, which by the way we have a guide on. I'll throw that in the annotation to the side. Yeah. So next turn, depending on what he plays now, which I don't think he'll be playing anything. So if he doesn't play anything now, it's great. We can play Emperor. It's his turn unless he swipes and passives the Emperor. He's not going to kill it, and that allows Emperor to get 2 turns in. And an Emperor getting 2 turns in and reducing all cards in our hand by 2 is absolutely insane in this Mage deck. Because of Emperor, I think the Frost Mage, so an Ice Block went down instead of an Ice barrier or whatever, the 8 armor. So we're going to get -1 on everything. Unfortunately, we didn't draw anything like a Fireball or a Pyroblast or Alexstrasza or Archmage. There's no real damage in our hand besides the Frostbolt, which costs 1. There's not even any. Actually, there is an Ice Lance, so that's good. Alright, so he's going to swipe, I'm assuming? Yeah, so he's going to swipe and passive, which we predicted the following turn. But again, he's not laying any down, he's not laying any creatures down, and he's getting his health kind of low. So we may not even need to Alexstrasza this game, depending on what kind of cards we draw. Like an Archmage, Frostbolt, double Ice Lance, it's a lot of damage, and then you get 3 Fireballs. So there's 1 Fireball and another Ice Lance. So we just need the Archmage, or maybe we can even burst him down. So we'll probably ping him directly. I mean, we could ping the Alkalite, but we already have a decent amount of cards in our hand, so. Yeah, I don't want to ping the Alkalite because then I'll draw and I'll definitely end up overdrawing, so that's why I didn't ping the Alkalite. I'll play Hots tonight. Maybe. Probably play with a friend. Alright, so he's silencing the Alkalite, so I guess I could have expected that. He hasn't played a Keeper yet, so I probably should have pinged the Alkalite, but I was just scared I might overdraw from it. Hey, look, Thalamos. So we actually might be able to burst him down without the Archmage, because if we have Thalamos. Yeah, I think we have enough damage here. What is this? 4, 5, 5, 7. Yeah, I think that's game. That the Emperor was definitely the way we were able to win here because we reduced everything. Nice, nice, nice. So that's 1 win down in the bag, and as you can see, the deck definitely has changed since the beginning of this deck. Before, you definitely needed the Alexstrasza most of the time to win, and now it's the Archmage can grant you to win. The Emperor allows your spells to be a lot cheaper, so if you've got, let's say, a double Fireball and a Pyroblast in your hand, you can win in 2 turns just by bursting them down, as long as they don't like Heal Bot or Healing Wave, which a lot of players are running. But for the most part, if you're going against an aggro deck, this deck can hold its own because of the double Blizzard, because of the double Flame Strike, and the fact that there's Doomslayers, Frost Nova. There's just a ton of ways to kind of slow your opponent down in the deck to the point where you're able to burst them down, whether it be, you know, Pyroblast, Alexstrasza, and there's just, like I said, a number of ways now, instead of there just being 1. Because before, you definitely need Alexstrasza. Now you don't. I believe also our first rendition of the deck didn't even run Thalamos. I don't even know what the fuck I was running in the first Freeze Mage deck I played. It worked, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't to perfection. Neither is this deck. I don't think this deck is absolutely perfected yet. But this deck is definitely a really nice rendition of the deck. This deck, you'll do well with this deck if you kind of learn how to play. When you first start playing Freeze Mage, let me tell you, you won't do that great because this deck just plays so different. You want to kill creatures with your Fireball. You want to attack directly with creatures or your own creatures. You want to deal damage, but it's just like one of those decks that it's just very interesting to play, and it's a whole different play style. So off the bat, of course, we keep Mad Scientist. We have Alkalite in hand, which is nice for the extra card draw. Thalamos we never play just to play it. Normally it's for some burst damage, like we saw last game. Along with that, if you've got the coin and you're going second, always coin into Mad Scientist for the most part. It kind of depends on the situation, but 9 out of 10 times, coining into Scientist is a good way to start a game. Not only does it put down a ton of aggro early on in the game, it makes your opponents have to kind of deal with it, along with they don't really know what kind of Mage deck you're playing, because by the, I would say, 3rd or 4th turn, for the most part, your opponent definitely knows what you're playing Freeze Mage, and they alter their playstyle to kind of combat what you're doing. So, having them not know what you're playing for as long as possible is a huge advantage. So as soon as you play the Alkalite and you're not playing the Flame Waker, you're not playing Sorcerer's Apprentice, they know you're not playing Tempo Mage. And then if you're not playing Dragons by turn 3 or 4, then they know you're not Dragon Mage, and then really the only thing left is either Molten Giant Mage or Giant Mage or Freeze Mage, and both of those are kind of, I wouldn't say similar, but they definitely have the playstyle of them is kind of similar, I guess. They both run Doomsayers, they both run a lot of secrets, so Yeah. So we played the Alkalite of Pain. There really was no other play there. We don't need to freeze his board through Frozen Nova yet, just because they're a bunch of 1/1s. He's not going second, so he doesn't have a coin into Quartermaster right now. So we know we're good. We don't have to face a field of 3/3s. So I think for the most part right now, we can just attack the 1/1s if he doesn't kill or silence our Alkalite and just ping the other ones down. There's no real threat on the board. You really want to save your freezing cards and your blizzards and your flame strikes when there's actual threats on the board. I see a lot of freeze mage waste a lot of their big cards that kind of clear the field on maybe 1 or 2 creatures that really don't need to be taken care of. Also, going against a tempo mage with freeze mage is really fun because mirror entity, and so you can play your Doomsayer and it plays it on their side too. So as soon as you end your turn, it kills their field. It's kind of like an instant killer. You don't have to worry about it. Make sure you're Doomsayer. You don't need the Frozen Nova for the most part. Playing Thalamos here, like I said, we normally want to combo her with damage, but we don't have any cards in our hand that really grant us any card draw. We haven't drew into our Arcane Intellect. We haven't drew into Embler. We have no Fireballs. We have no Fire Blasts. We have no Archmage. We have no Alexstrasza. So I'm playing her just for the sole purpose of drawing a card. Normally I would not play her, but we only have one ability to, kind of clear the field and deal with it, and that's Doomsayer and Frost Nova as of now, and I want more resources, so I'm simply playing her just for the card draw and to kill off a Silverhammer 3. So we got Cone of Cold, which is kind of what I was searching for, just like a turn 5 or 6 stall card that's not Doomsayer, and it kind of slows his board down, because right now I don't need to clear his board. That doesn't make sense. I just need to kind of slow it down, make sure he's not overwhelming me with creatures. So we'll ping this down, and I end our turn. He only has 3 damage on field with a weapon. Ideally, he should attack with the weapon, but he most likely won't. He'll save it for when I have a creature, if he's silly, but I won't have a creature ever. Besides like Alexstrasza, why would you attack that anyway? So he's playing Secret Paladin, which kind of we should have expected from the start. He hasn't really played anything huge, and he's just played creatures like, let's say, the Haunted Creeper here, which the only Paladin deck that really runs Haunted Creeper is the Secret Mage. So we kind of know what secrets those are. It's the Christmas tree, and they don't really matter at all. So if we kill this 1/1, it'll bring back another 1/1. It'll grant something Avenge. He gets competitive spirit at the beginning of the play, and that really none of this matters because we can just freeze them. We can Cone of Cold just to stop them from attacking, and then the following turn we can play our Doomsayer and freeze the field. So we're going to choose to freeze in between those just to kill off the 2 Silverhands if he ends up buffing them. And it silences the 6 damage, which is the most damage on the field. Alright, actually 7 damage now. So we were able to stop 9 damage instead of stopping just 7. That's why I chose to freeze the higher guy. So by now he should definitely know I'm playing Freeze Mage without a doubt. So I should be seeing a ton of creatures on the board, but he might hold back due to Flame Strike, but we'll see here. And if we Flame Strike, it actually won't kill either of those creatures. So I think playing Doomsayer, like I said, in the freeze on the field is our best option. And then normally playing one Doomsayer, if he has, like, let's say a Silence or his weapon and a Consecrate or a weapon and a Hammer of Justice, he'll kill it. And then the following turn, we kind of have to waste another Doomsayer in a freeze. So I've seen a lot of freeze mages kind of play both Doomsayers just to make sure they clear that field. So we'll figure out kind of what we want to do when he plays his cards. Alright, so Flame Strike is definitely out of the question. The Blood Knight's a very interesting card coming from him. No one plays Blood Knight. But having a 6/6 for a 3-drop, really nice. And I do not know fucking why he didn't give that card Divine Shield prior to playing Blood Knight, which could have been a 9/9. So I guess just to protect it from a Flame Strike, which I wouldn't have used anyway because it would only kill the 2/2s on his field. So we'll freeze Nova no matter what, and I'm thinking about playing that other Doomsayer just to make sure we get that field clear. I don't think we will. I think he only... Pally's not known for burst damage, so unless he has any quality in his hand, which I don't think his Secret Paladin runs, or at least his, I think we're safe here. Or unless he has a Silence, but I don't think he's running Iron Beak either. So, Knife Juggler, okay. Alright. So he summons one more. It's going to ping me probably directly. Yeah. I don't know what that whole plan was. if he pinged my Doomsayer, it's still only 6, and he has to do 4 more. So he might actually have Consecration in his hand. So he was hoping the ping would hit the Doomsayer, he'd swing into it, and then Consecrate. But he doesn't. So he's Divine Favor to draw a bunch of cards. Again, really doesn't matter because the entire field is dead next turn. He will get 2 1/1s out of the deal, but I think my value is a little bit more. And then from here, we can kind of control the board. We've got a Flame Strike. We have actually 2 Flame Strikes in our hand and another Doomsayer along with 8 more armor in the Alexstrasza. So we'll kind of set our turn up for the Alexstrasza as soon as it hits turn 9 because we do have the Pyroblast and the Fireball, which is over 15 damage, and he has no heal in the deck. We know that. So off the bat right here, let's throw down this Secret, which will grant us 8 armor. We could Doomsayer to set up a turn for Alexstrasza. And we don't, let's play a Secret, draw, or kill a 1/1. Well, we know he has, let's see what we can get. Okay, so the Blizzard helps, so we'll throw down the Secret and end our turn. We really don't need to clear the field whatsoever. He gets the Competitive Spirit, so he actually, that's what I was kind of scared of, was the Competitive Spirit, because if we would have pinged off one of the creatures, he would only have 6 damage. The Doomsayer has 7, so it would have lived if we would have killed a creature. Instead of playing, oh wow, he's swinging directly. He's not even choosing to kill the Doomsayer, unless he has an equality in his hand, or unless he has some damaging abilities. Oh wow, he's completely ignoring the Doomsayer. So he's just going to end his turn here? Wow. Okay. Well, now we play Alexstrasza. We drew into another Fireball, and if he doesn't have heals, we can either double Fireball Frostbolt, which is a win, but we probably, I don't know, it depends on if we draw a Frostbolt. If not, then we simply just Pyroblast and then double Fireball the following turn. Either way, victory is inevitable. And what I like about this deck is it's really good against almost every other class besides Warrior, just because of their armor. A good Warrior will kind of hold both Armor Smiths in their hand, and then when they have a good opportunity to get, like, I would say 5 to 7 creatures on field, including the 2 Armor Smiths, and be able to Whirlwind at least 2 to 3 times, whether it be their Despite, Whirlwind, Revenge, and whatnot, then they'll get around, I don't know, 15 to 25 armor. A good Warrior will, and it's just too much damage for us to be able to get through. So it's one of those things. So he healed for 2, not a big deal. We'll Pyroblast, we'll swing into him. If it's a Noble Sacrifice, it's not a big deal because we have an Ice block down. So the only way this guy's going to win right now is if he has a Kezan Mystic, and then he's able to do, he has 8 damage. So he has to do 5 damage more than what he has on the field, and he has to Kezan Mystic my Secret. Kezan Mystic my Secret. So, like, he plays a weapon for the extra 4, then he needs to do 1 more. That rhymed. So, like, Knife Juggler, no, yeah, not even. Okay, so Knife Juggler, Muster for Battle to ping for the damage directly. The Consecrate, Kezan Mystic, Weapon, that would do it too. But I don't think this guy has that, to be completely honest. I think the game's over. I mean, he can swing directly and get me down low. But unless he can heal, and maybe I don't have any damage in my hand, but that'd be fucking retarded why I wouldn't have damage in my hand. I'm playing a Freeze Mage, which he should know by now. The fact that he's playing a Secret Paladin makes this victory a little bit sweeter, just because I just like playing against Secret Paladin, to be honest. I think it's a really, you won't learn anything about Hearthstone or kind of how to play, or like, I don't know, I'm not going to get into it, but I don't like Secret Paladin whatsoever. So he did have the weapon. If he has the Kezan Mystic, I'm going to be quite upset. We're at 1 health. Do we see the Knife Juggler? No, we see the Secret, which could be another noble sacrifice. And he actually attacked, so he healed up too, so we're still at lethal because of our passive. So we'll just double Fireball. I don't feel like, attacking's for old school. We're playing Freeze Mage. We need to cast spells. So that's 2 wins in a row with this Freeze Mage. Let me just say I'm not a professional at Freeze Mage. I don't play Freeze Mage a lot. I play it a decent amount, but it's not one of those decks that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go play Freeze Mage all day. It's fun for, like, I don't know, 10 games, 15 games, and this kind of gets boring because it's so slow. There's no, I mean, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. The plays are very interesting and intricate, and you have to think a couple turns ahead most of the time. But it's just not one of my favorite decks to play. I love Druid, and I like Shaman, so I kind of want to stick to those decks for now. But I chose to go over this just because of the old rendition of the deck we had just wasn't up to par anymore, so I kind of wanted to update it for you guys, just in case, you know, you haven't seen Freeze Mage in a while, which I'm pretty sure you haven't, because it's not a very common deck you'll play against. And when you do, you're like, oh man, how the fuck do I win against this guy? It seems like he has everything. So if you know how to play the deck and kind of what's in it, you can kind of play against it as well. So even if you're never going to play free, you have no interest in playing Freeze Mage whatsoever, at least you know what's in the deck and kind of how someone would play it. So when knowing that not only makes you a better player because you know how to play, well, kind of know how to play a different deck, you can know what to expect when playing that deck. Half this game is knowing kind of your opponent, what they're going to play, and how they're going to play it. I'm glad he didn't win that joust because him having that zombie chow, it's not a zombie chow, but it turns into it with a 2/3, but it doesn't even heal you for 5. So I think that's a really good card if it wins the joust. If it doesn't, it's a horrible card. And most of the time, joust is like a 50-50%. So pretty much a bad card. I have no idea why this Paladin's playing that card. I can only assume he's playing Secret Paladin. There would only be one. Wow. There would only be one reason he played that card, and it would be Secret Paladin, because they'd be like, oh, I have found a new Secret Paladin. It's going to play Joust cards now, even though it'd be retarded because half of your deck's fucking secrets and they're all 1-drops. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I had difficulty talking there, nor do I know why he's playing that card, but either way, we will win. Okay, Murloc Knight on turn 4. That card needs to die. I don't give a fuck. We might actually waste Fireball on it. Or we could Cone of Cold and attack it and then ping it the next turn. But then we'd have to deal with a few other things. I think Fireballing is... It needs to die. It's one of those cards. But he could get a shitty Murloc out of it, which means we could just stall. I think we're going to stall. I don't think he's going to get a good Murloc. We'll kill it next turn. I think Fireball is a little bit too valuable right now to waste on that. And like I said earlier, it's kind of one of those things where I could have Fireballed it, got rid of it, never had to deal with it again. But right now, if he uses passive, he gets a 1/1, and then he gets a shitty Murloc. He's kind of wasted his turn because he coined into this 4-drop. So if he plays another 4-drop, that's fine because we'll ping it off next turn and he would have done nothing. But if he gets a shitty Murloc, which he just did, I'm totally fine with his turn 4 being playing an essentially a 2/2. And now we can Cone of Cold in between and kill them all. So I think that play kind of, it worked out well. If he would have gotten, let's say, like a Warlock Chief, the guy who gives all the Warlocks +2/+2, and that guy would have turned into a 5/3, I would have been a little bit upset. But we were able to kind of get by it. Actually, what would he have been? He's a 3/4, and he had 1 health. So it was a 3/1, and then 5/3. Yeah, I was right. Okay. Alright, so he played Muster for Battle. And he passived, he used up all his mana, he summoned a board of 1/1s. We can wait until he Quartermasters to kill them, but then our Blizzard wouldn't kill them all. But that's fine, because I don't think he has Quartermaster right now. I'm just betting he doesn't. It's just one of those instincts, so you kind of have to feel for it. If he had Quartermaster, I would have assumed he would have used this. He would have coined. He would have saved coin, played Muster on turn 3, and then coined into the Quartermaster on turn 4. So it's one of those things. So you just kind of have to, know how the deck is playing. And I don't think he's playing Secret Paladin because he hasn't played a single secret yet. So that was my assumption. And this is why I did not Blizzard. But if he would have, like I said, shown that he might have had a Quartermaster, I would have Blizzard. And Blizzard wouldn't have killed him if he did Quartermaster. So waiting might have not been great. But we could have pinged one off. Or Flame Strike for... Yeah, Flame Strike wouldn't have been bad. So I don't think Blizzarding a bunch of 1/1s is worth it at all. Even if you're Blizzarding and they don't die, they're still frozen for the following turn, so it allows you to have another turn to deal with them. Alright, so he's swinging into me for 1, 2, 3, and a weapon. Wonder what he's going to play here. He plays Peacekeeper, so he knows I'm playing Freeze Mage, without a doubt. I mean, once you see the armor secret, it's kind of donezo from there. It's, you got to just deal as much damage as fast as you can, and that's just how you take out a Freeze Mage. but you don't want to overextend because then the board clears. So he drew into Archmage for the first time in these 3 games, which is kind of sad because he's a really cool card. I enjoy Archmage a lot. It's just, unfortunately, you can't play him a ton because he has to live at least 1 turn. So, like, a good combo with Archmage is maybe a turn hit. Turn 10, you don't have Alexstrasza yet, you haven't Empered, so you'll, like, Archmage, freeze the field. Hopefully they can't silence or kill him with a frozen field. They wait a turn, the following turn you double fireball, get 2 more in your hand, that's 12 damage, and that's 24 damage in total, plus all of your other damaging, plus him being a 5-drop on, or 5 attack on the field. So it all depends, but for the most part, you want to make sure your opponent can't attack when you play Archmage. Same thing with Emperor. So it looks like he's playing Dr. Boom. Good 7-drop for him. Really hard for me to take care of without, you know, wasting a fireball. If we Blizzard, he takes down to 5 HP, but he's still a 7-drop on the field, so I definitely need to fireball this guy down. The fact that we have Archmage in our hand and another fireball as a backup along with Pyroblast, this is kind of like we can, if we would have used the fireball earlier on the Murloc Knight and then had to use a fireball now, it would have been a little more devastating and a harder choice to make because then we'd be out of fireballs. But now we got 1 left and we have Archmage in our hand, so all is well. So next turn is looking like it's going to be, alright, hello Alexstrasza, thank you for popping out. Not that that being a 2-3 would have made a huge difference because we're most likely going to Flame Strike if we had one. Never mind, Blizzard, I don't know why I said Flame Strike when I'm looking at Blizzard. So I think Blizzard is a decent option, but the question is, do we ping the Shredder and have it pop into a creature, or do we Blizzard ping directly and kill off the Shredder next turn? Because if we kill off the Shredder prior, if it dies while in Blizzard, the card it brings out isn't frozen. So, yeah, I think pinging directly is a good plan. We don't really have, I guess to turn 10 we do have the Archmage freeze combo. So that grants another fireball, and then potentially the following turn we can play, you know, 2 fireballs in a row. So, yeah. We'll ping directly. I guess that was kind of dumb. Yeah, he hasn't really used equality yet. So he could have just equality attack with his weapon. I'm thinking that's... yeah. You don't know until you find out, but I don't feel comfortable playing Archmage in that situation. I mean, we could have, but you don't know. He has 4 cards in his hand. It might have been better to ping the Shredder directly. Actually, no, it really doesn't matter because we're going to freeze anyway, and whether it's frozen or not, or brought out a creature or not. I think Archmage freeze is the best play here. We need some damage in our hand. We got now 2 fireballs, a pyroblast, and a frostbolt, and a 5/7 on the field that potentially can't die. Like I said, he probably has equality in his hand. It'll die, but at least we got the 1 fireball, and it stops his field from attacking yet again. And unfortunately, we don't even have a flame strike in our hand. So maybe next turn we don't draw any field control, and he kills our card. If he doesn't kill the Archmage, we're going face no matter what. So he's swinging the Archmage. Consecration won't kill it, but an equality would. But wouldn't you use equality prior? So he's going to passive. Alright, so it's not going to die this turn. This is really good. Okay, so I'm feeling the double fireball to the face. That's pretty much what I feel here. Double fireball frostbolt to the face even. Yeah, I don't really find a reason not to. That's 15 damage. He's left at 10, and then we still have 3 fireballs in hand. Even though we can't attack directly with the 5-drop, we can do all the damage we need to him in 1 turn, which is why Archmage really works in this deck. I mean, we didn't even have to Alexstrasza any of these games. And we'll end our turn just because obviously he's going to attack into this 5/2. Let's say we killed off his Sludge Belcher. Our Archmage would already be dead, so he wouldn't have to worry about it. But now he still has to waste an attack into the Archmage. There you go. So he healed himself up to 18, which means if we double Fireball, it's only 12. Ping for 1, that's 13. So we have a Blizzard. So because we have both our ice blocks in our hand, it really doesn't matter. But we're going to use the Blizzard anyway and use 1 Fireball just in case he can push lethal that turn and take our secret. Now he can't push lethal, and he's still 1 turn away from lethal. So if we would have used, let's say, double Fireball, he would have been close to lethal, but then I put him in lethal range of me to pop my secret. But if I can deny him from popping the secret, and still put him in lethal range, that's obviously the better play here. And like I said, okay, so he did pop. He's able to pop the secret anyway, but at least we made him waste a fuck ton of cards and denied him of that. And now, actually, he's not in lethal range. He's at 14 because he attacked the weapon. So we're in a bit of a situation now, unless we draw like a Frostbolt. So he uses Alex, or we drew Alexstrasza. So we're gonna have to play the Ice Block, and then we're gonna have to Fireball, and we're gonna have to Pyroblast the following turn. And right now we can ping for 1, or we can draw 2. And drawing 2 might grant us another Frostbolt or an Ice Block. So right now the options are deal 1 damage or potentially draw into more damage if he ends up healing. So I'll draw. I think that's a better choice. So we weren't able to draw in any more damage, but I don't think he has any more heals. I think he only runs 1 antique heal bot. He's already used his weapon and healed from it. Even if he heals from another 2 of the weapon, we can still Pyroblast for 10 damage. And we still have next turn to draw into a Frostbolt or an Ice Lance, preferably a Frostbolt. Not that it'd matter, because Fireball, Ping, Frostbolt is 10 damage, and Pyroblast is 10 damage. So he loads up with the Sledge Belcher. So we won't be seeing Lay on Hands. And if he would have had another antique heal bot, he would have played it by now. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining me for 3 more wins of another deck guide with 3 wins. This time it was for a Freeze Mage, of course. So I appreciate all of you watching. I'll kind of go over the deck list on the side here for those of you who want to know about some of the combos and why I have what in the deck. And yeah. So we'll go over that now. Starting off with Ice Lance, this is a great card. 1 drop, 4 damage if it's frozen. So just remember to use your Frostbolt first. Unfortunately, let's say you need to freeze a creature on the field to win. It's just one of those things. You may end up using Ice Lance to freeze a creature and stop it from attacking, but for the most part, you'll combo it with Frostbolt without a doubt. Frostbolt, staple in the deck. Blood Mage, we played her in the first game. She granted us the victory. We were able to pull off a huge damage combo on that Druid. Doomslayer clears the field. We've seen why that's good. Of course, run 2 of those. Mad Scientist, staple in the deck. Of course, run 2. Arcane Intellect, drawing is important. Especially in this deck, you want as many cards in your hand when Emperor hits the field so he can decrease as many as possible, like we saw in one of our games. Frost Nova, this is definitely run 2 of these. It comboed with Doomslayer. Doomsayer clears fields. Running 2 Ice Barrier and Ice Blocks, these are your survivability. Ice Blocks, I mean, that's probably... It's an extremely crazy card. It grants you 2 extra turns past death, which is exactly what this deck needs to win. And then the 8 armor, which in total 16 armor if you include both secrets. Very nice. The Alkali of Pain is again more draw. We're only running 1 Cone of Cold because we are running a double Blizzard, double Flame Strike combo. Some people run Explosive Sheep. Some people run 2 Cone of Colds or maybe a Polymorph, because if someone summons a Mal'Ganis, the Flame Strike, it's really hard to get rid of it without having to use the Frostbolt, Ice Lance combo, or a Fireball Ping, and most of the time you kind of want to save those, like I said, but if you have to get rid of a creature, you just, one of those things, the deck has plenty of other burst, get rid of it. So that's why I'm running Polymorphs, because I'm able to decide what needs to die and what doesn't efficiently, so I'm able to spare off some burst to kill larger creatures. 2 Fireballs, of course, double Blizzard and double Flame Strike. We went over that. Emperor, we've already been over that. Just a fantastic card in this deck. Really granted it a huge boost since that card's come out, and this deck has thrived because of it. Archmage, we've seen why that card is amazing as well. It actually wrapped up this last game's victory for us with it was able to pull 3 Fireballs from just double Fireball Frostbolt. So this is, again, more burst in the deck. Doesn't only depend on Alexstrasza. And like we've seen, none of these games we actually won because of Alexstrasza. We didn't even draw Alexstrasza. Well, actually, we did in the last game here. But we weren't able to use it. There was no point. He was already too low. And then finishing up with the Pyroblast. Normally, this is a very awkward card in the deck because it costs 10 mana to only do 10 damage. But most of the time, you can pull out the double Fireball Frostbolt combo for 15 damage for 10 mana. But not all the time you have that. Let's say, like, this game, how we had to waste a Fireball on Dr. Boom. Dr. Doom. Luckily we had the Archmage there, but if we didn't, Pyroblast was there to finish it up. So that kind of wraps up this deck list. Again, I'm not the best a Freeze Mage player. I don't play it all the time. It's not a common deck you'll see me playing, but I know the ins and outs of it. I know what you should and shouldn't do. So yeah, hopefully you guys have learned something. You've enjoyed the video, and of course I appreciate you watching like always. So thank you guys for stopping by at the end. Of course, I'm Rob and I'm Warshack. Rob or Warshack, whatever you want to call me, and happy whatever the hell day it is.